Welcome to my YouTube channel. In this video lecture, we will study and focus on mechanism of antibiotic action. Remember, it's just an overview, not a detailed lecture. Let's start the lecture. Stay with us. Before study mode of action of antibiotics, we must know about the type of action of antibiotics, because antibiotics either kill or slow down the growth of bacteria. So those antibiotics that kill or destroy the growth of bacteria known as bactericidal, or antibiotics that stop the growth of bacteria known as bacteriostatic. So here is a typical bacteria with cell wall and cell membrane. Remember that cell wall and cell membrane is the characteristics of gram-positive bacteria, but we will see it is any type of bacteria. Within a cytoplasm of bacteria, we have DNA and we have RNA being synthesized ribosomes, and ribosomes will synthesize protein. So the first type of antibiotics are the ones that target cell membrane or plasma membrane. These antibiotics will disrupt the cell membrane function, which means they disrupt the phospholipid bilayer. So these antibiotics will bind to lipid bilayer and alter the plasma membrane structure and will make it more permeable. Also, this will disrupt the osmotic balance, causing leakage of cellular molecules, and essentially it will increase the water uptake and finally leading to bacterial cell death. Example of these drugs are polymyxins, which include polymyxin B and colistin antibiotics, and lipopeptide that include daptomycin. Then we have other type of antibiotic class that inhibit bacterial cell wall. These antibiotics will inhibit bacterial cell wall synthesis. So these drugs are therefore bactericidal because they will cause bacterial cell to die. The example of these drugs are beta-lactams, glycopeptides and bacitracin, and all these drugs have different mechanism of action when they inhibiting bacterial cell wall synthesis. It must remember that these drugs does not affect human cells because humans don't have peptidoglycan layers in their cell wall. Penicillin, cephalosporin, monobactam and carbapenems are beta-lactams drugs. Then we have glycopeptides like vancomycin and bacitracin that prevent bacterial cell wall synthesis. The bacterial cell wall is very essential for their survival. The disrupting of cell wall will lead to bacterial death. Then we have other class of antibiotics that will target or inhibit nucleic acid or genome of bacteria. So all these antibiotics will inhibit bacterial DNA or RNA synthesis. So here is bacterial DNA, and all these antibiotics prevent synthesis of bacterial DNA. So these antibiotics are fluoroquinolones like ciprofloxacin, levofloxacin and moxifloxacin. The mechanism of action of these antibiotics are they prevent bacterial DNA synthesis, and as we know, RNA synthesizing from DNA, and we have antibiotics such as rifamycin and rifampin. These antibiotics will prevent RNA synthesis, so it will stop protein synthesis. Then we have other class of antibiotics that inhibit protein synthesis because protein synthesis is carried out by ribosome, which translate messenger RNA into protein. Bacteria need protein for their survival. However, there are antibiotics that target the 30S ribosome and 50S ribosomes. The aminoglycosides and tetracycline inhibit 30S ribosome, whereas macrolides, lincosamide and chloramphenicol target 50S ribosomes. So these antibiotics will disrupt ribosomes to making protein, which will disrupt bacterial cell, and they will unable to make proteins by this. So bacteria are still survive, but they are unable to reproduce or lose their pathogenicity. So all these antibiotics are bacteriostatic because they just inhibit bacterial growth. Then we have another type of antibiotics that will target metabolic pathway or folic acid metabolism. So these are antibiotics that inhibit PABA or para-aminobenzoic acid, which is precursor of folic acid. Remember that folic acid is really essential for synthesis of adenine and thymine. They prevent PABA to convert into folic acid. Thanks for watching. Subscribe my YouTube channel and press the bell icon for upcoming latest videos.